Why did the FASB change revenue recognition is the age-old question. And I will tell you why the FASB changed it is because there were standards through all out the FASBs, whether it was an EITF or whatever it came out to, but there was not one overarching concept. There was a lot of industry guidance. We have contribution guidance in the nonprofit world, and then we had some quasi-exchange guidance that we added in there. There was percentage of completion guidance in the construction world. You look at all of the different guidance, and what the FASB wanted was one overarching principle that would apply to everybody. So typically what happens when we try and come up with a one-size-fits-all, everybody hates it, right? Because everybody has to change a little bit, and we don't like change. The FASB did defer it. There is a lobbying event going on. We're trying to raise money to bribe certain members of the FASB to defer it another year. That's not going very well. So I think we are stuck with what the new effective date is, but it is effective for June 30th, 2020. So that is the year that you guys, if you don't have conduit debt, and it is retroactive. So again, if you are you got to be thinking about it in the year ahead as well, because you will have to retroactively apply the standard. And so if we want to make any changes, you want to make them early enough so that it does not impact it. Before we get started, I'm gonna start with the lead, with the best part of the standard. This is the key that you need to remember. Anything that happens within your fiscal year, any revenue cycle that happens within your fiscal year, you can ignore. You don't need to worry about it if it's happening within your fiscal year. So again, the objective was to get to one. And the standard is called contracts with customers. So this is the key. If you have other situations, if you have a foundation that's part of your association, it does not apply to contribution accounting because that's transactions with donors. It doesn't apply to grant transactions either because a grantor isn't a customer. A contribution is actually defined as a non-reciprocal transaction. So that covers grants, it covers contributions from a donor, it covers federal money that you may receive. So again, all of those types of revenue streams that you have in your organizations are scoped out of this standard. So just keep that in mind. So then for the rest of your revenue, or for the bulk of your revenue, if it is a reciprocal exchange, if somebody is getting something in exchange for what they're giving to you, then it falls under this standard. The one thing that we have to think about in the nonprofit community that others don't, and you need to think about this as well, is there a part of your membership fee or your membership dues that you could consider a contribution? Because if there is, we can bifurcate that out right away. So think about that as well. Is there a portion of it that is just a contribution? Like your AICPA dues. Is it just a contribution to the AICPA? What are we getting in return? We get a Journal of Accountancy, which is awesome. No, we get a lot of benefits. So it's really thinking about that and saying, could there be a portion of it that is? So this is the recognition model, and this is the 5 key points that you need to understand. And we're going to walk through an example of a membership dues with these 5 key points. So identify, what contracts do I have with customers? So what are all of my revenue streams? I have my dues, but are there other contracts that I have with customers? Are there sponsorship arrangements that I have where somebody's giving me sponsorship fees? Is that a customer or is that a contribution? So it's really looking at it and saying, what are my reciprocal transactions that I have out there? Do I have a gift shop somewhere where I'm selling things, to the general public, wherever that may be? What are the performance obligations under that contract? So looking at it and saying, what am I required to do? Then you have to look at it and say, what's the transaction price? Well, I pay $300. That's the transaction price. I now need to allocate that transaction price across the 6 items and say, how much is each worth? And then I can recognize entity as each of those performance obligations is satisfied. So this is why if everything happens within a year, it doesn't matter.